the whole dragon now, I'm going to give it a light coating of this cerulean blue. So let's get into that using my HPCSE clips. I'll link up to a couple of these products in the description for you guys below. So you can see straight out of the bottle how punchy that colour is. And that's what I want. I'm not too concerned if I get a bit of overspray on the eyes, even on the teeth. I mean, try and control it as much as possible, but we're going to come back in anyway over the top of this, further shade it, and deepen all our shadows and bits and pieces. But I really just want to get that blue tone on there. So I'm just controlling my trigger here. I've got a fair distance away, so don't be scared to come further away from your surface. It's one thing I always tell my students, they always try and work up really close, but it's a lot harder to get a lighter tone. Obviously you've got to worry about overspray, but you know, this has still got a long way to go. I've got to deepen all my shadows and pretty much come back in. So I'll cut in around it, and then I can always refer back to my paper templates if I want to clean up an edge here or there. So I'm going to try and stay away from this area here, all the broken rock, and all this area here where I've got some of these skulls with rib cages. Go over the nails, bit of blue tinge won't hurt. So even when I dust it over the darker area, you can see it only gives it a little bit of a tone. That darker colour that I used was sepia, actually just the Trident sepia, but if you can't get Trident or you're having problems getting it, then by all means you can use a bit of Createx as well, that'll work. So just giving that a nice coat. As you can see, I'm building that up as well, I'm not saturating it. We don't want to get any runs, we just want to shift the colour. Just add that colour on there, and we're just shifting that from white to blue. So you can see, because these colours are transparent out of the bottle, I'm keeping all of the work that I've done. So I'm not losing my guide of where I need to come back in and build my shadows and highlights. And because you've got numerous tones going on too, you get a bit more depth that way. So I mean, you could use this colour and start deepening the shadows, but I'm going to go for a bit more of a darker, either a darker blue or even maybe a red violet. I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to go with a darker tone just to bring out all my shading next. Let's just get this on there. May as well go over these as well. Remember, if there's something that you've gone over that you don't want blue, just go back over it with white. It's no big deal. I'm going to have to do that anyway with the teeth, so it's easier just to spray directly over everything, and then you can clean it up later rather than having to, you know, even mask out certain areas. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of layers to come, so this just speeds up the process a little bit. So you can see I've got, well, you might not be able to see from the camera there, but I've actually got a bit of overspray on the rock section, but that'll be hidden. You won't see that by the end. Okay, so now that I've finished with layering that cerulean blue over the white underpainting of the dragon, I'm going to come in now with my CMSB side feed micron, and I'm going to use cobalt blue. This is also Createx illustration colors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to deepen my shadows and also pull out all of the detail. So just really build the detail out using this particular color. So you may have noticed that the video just kicked straight off with myself discussing how I add the cerulean blue over the white underpainting without the usual intro and all that sort of stuff. The reason being is that was pre-filmed for one of my earlier videos, which is a pre-live video. So yeah, this is part 2 of the three-headed dragon, and welcome to this video. So we're just going to, from now right through, go through the steps to further detail this particular artwork. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out part 1 so that you know how I got up to this stage. Just getting a bit of tip drying there on the micron. This micron runs a 0.18mm needle, and even with the paints relatively thin, they will still tip dry. So you'll notice that I sort of, it's very hard to see because I moved the camera, but I blasted back, so I did a bit of back bubbling and picked off any of the dried paint that was on the needle, and gave it a quick blast out, and then I can get straight back into painting and it'll run smoothly for me. So just speeding up the video a little bit, and you'll notice that I'm still rendering those scales, so lots of tiny little details in this particular one. So just if you are doing an artwork which is similar, just take your time and make sure that you include all of those small tiny details, because that's really what's going to make your artwork pop in the long run. So whenever you're working this fine, you want to be up nice and close. I'm continually moving the airbrush as I'm painting, so I'm not just sitting in one particular spot for a long period, because that could build up too much paint and it could spider out on me, especially when I'm using the paint heavily reduced, which I am. So just kind of keep working it and only pull back slightly on that trigger so that you don't blast out in any particular areas when working this close. So working now on the scales on the neck and the body of the dragon, further detailing that whole area. And again, just really taking my time to include all of the details in this particular artwork. Remember, there's still more processes after this. This isn't going to be the final tone. There's going to be further detailing as well as highlighting. The highlighting will be shown in the later part of this video, so be sure to watch it until the end so that you don't miss anything. So if this is the first time watching one of our tutorial videos, welcome. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're enjoying it so far. If you haven't already, feel free to hit subscribe, tap on that bell icon, and that'll notify you every time I put out new content. And for anyone that's interested in learning more about the products used in this video, or if you wish to purchase any of them, there will be links as well as affiliate links to all these products listed in the description below, so be sure to check that out. You'll notice here I'm using a Art Tool freehand template. This particular one is a Mike LaValle True Fire series. These templates are predominantly used to create realistic fire, or true fire as a lot of people know it as. So you'll notice that I'm using the edges just to create a nice sharp straight edge in certain areas of this particular dragon artwork, just to lift those spots. So sometimes you do need that defined masking edge, and without having to mask it, you can go to any freehand template and that's going to do it for you. You could also cut some paper templates or refer back to the original paper templates which I showed you in part 1 of this tutorial, and that could also help you to get that straight edge. So obviously, because this is a three-headed dragon, I'm just continuing with the rendering similar to the other heads. So it's a bit repetitive at this stage, but gives you an indication and just refreshes you on how to create that sort of detailing when rendering a dragon. So just rendering the wings of the dragon, so using a combination of that freehand template as well as freehand airbrushing, just to create all of my texturing in there, as well as sort of fine detailing. And you'll notice that I'm lifting the center points of the wings by shading one particular side of it. Okay, so now that I've finished all of my shading and detailing with my cobalt blue, I'm going to go to a light blue now that I've mixed up to further detail the dragon and just pull out all of the highlights. So this light blue tone, which I'm using for the highlights, was made up using Trident White. I would recommend mixing whatever white you're using with your desired amount of reducer first, then adding a few drops of cerulean blue and drops of cobalt blue until you're happy with the tone. So just play around with it, there's no set measure, just have a play, and remember, add less, you can always add more. So you really begin to notice now with this particular tone how much this starts to lift the artwork and creates a bit of a 3D element. We're starting to get all of the definition really clear within the scales and all the structures within the dragon's head, as well as any other areas that I'm rendering. So this is going to lift the particular design, and then we're going to add some more shading to further deepen the design and give a more 3D element to it again. And remember that this is pretty true for pretty much all of your airbrushing, but when you're doing highlights especially, keep it less is more. So you know, you can always add more, but just don't go overboard. So kind of think to yourself where the light source would be and then work your highlights off that. Okay, so we're just adding in our final highlights here and we're almost done, so you can see how much the artwork's changed by just putting in some of these real fine highlights. It's really making the artwork start to pop now. Okay, I really wanted to do something to make the dragon's eyes really punch out and look like they're almost glowing. So what better paint to use than some fluoro paint? I've decided to go with Fluoro Green by Trident, and I've just reduced that and I'm spraying that directly over the dragon's eyes. And I'm also adding in a bit of a highlight underneath each eye, just to show that that glow is transferring onto the lower part of the eye socket. So thanks again for watching. Be sure to check out part 3 of this 3-part tutorial on the 3-headed dragon artwork. Until next time, go grab your airbrush, do some amazing artwork yourself, and we will see you again very, very soon. Bye for now.